talk about is Velociraptor, which is great. Now for Velociraptor, you need a Windows machine and a Linux machine. And you might already have them from other classes, like a Kali from the pen testing classes, or this Windows 10 machine, or a Windows Server 2016 machine from some other class. But you need a virtual machine. It's best probably to have virtual machines for both. But what you really want is to make sure the Windows machine is virtual, because you are going to put malware on that machine. It's not terrible malware, it's stuff I wrote, but it is kind of annoying. It pops up boxes and is a little bit hard to remove and stuff. So anyway, so I wrote instructions here to make a Windows and Linux machine. You could use, what I'm going to use is local virtual machines with Debian 10 Linux and Windows 10. And there's instructions here on how to make that if you don't know how. You could also use a cloud. You can use Azure Cloud or Google Cloud or anything you want. And so I have instructions. Once you've got that, there's a couple flags you get here just to show you have Windows and you have Linux. So once you have both of those things, now you can start playing with Velociraptor. And that's what I want to show you tonight, is mainly IR371. So I made brand new Windows and Linux machines right before class. So we got clean machines with nothing else on them. So here's my Linux machine, which I just took this Debian pre-made machine that's got a username and password of Debian, and it's running Debian 10, which is no longer the latest version, but it's fine. And now we're going to put Velociraptor on it. So I'm going to just shove these instructions to the side and do it here because it's very easy. And this is the boss way to do it. You can, in principle, put Velociraptor on Windows, but it runs a lot better on Linux, like most things. So I'm going to just make a directory of Velociraptor. Let me just point out, this is all coming from GitHub. It's all open source. And there are different versions. I'm just going to stick with whatever version I used back in June. If they have a later version, I don't really need it. And after using the attack framework, I'm kind of fed up with using the latest version of things. I'll stick with this version that works. Anyway, so you make a directory of Velociraptor and move into there, just to keep things tidy. And I'm trying to fit the screen that's needed. That looks about right. All right, now you get the software, which is just wget. Downloads the software from GitHub, and there it comes. And you change it and run it. So you give it executable permissions, and then you run it. And first you run it with the command config generate. This will generate a configuration file called velociraptor.config.yaml. So that gives me like a generic configuration file to start with. Now I need my IP address, which you can get from IPA. So this machine has that IP address there, 172.16.123.53. You're going to need that. So now I modify that file. So I'm actually, I guess I can copy it here. Now I nano that configuration file. All right. And now, in this file, there are some references to local hosts. And I have to replace all of them with my real IP address. So I can do that in nano with Control W, Control R. And now I can change all local hosts, enter, with that IP address I copied, enter, and just say yes, yes, and there's two of them. So that's a start. And I also have to change WR all 127.001s to my real address. Whoa, and I hit the wrong button. So I hit the top, Control W, Control R, enter, Control V. Okay, I had the other kind of Control V. And now I can say yes, yes, yes. There are two local hosts and three 127.001. And you have to change them all to go to your real IP address. All right, save the file. And now you move that file to where it belongs. Instead of just being in this directory, it should be in ets, velociraptor.config.yaml. And now you can run it to create an administrator account. So you run this thing with that configuration file, user add admin. This will create an admin account as administrator, and now you give it a password, anything you like that you can remember, And now you have made an account to administer it, and now you can run Velociraptor, which is just this command here, which runs front end. So you just run it with that configuration file, front end, -V to print out stuff, and as you see, it prints out a pretty banner, and then it starts all sorts of stuff, and then it tells you the GUI is ready on this address, and the front end is ready on that address. So we want to see the GUI, so you just take that URL and open it in a browser. And for this, I like using Opera. All right, let me close a bunch of extra tabs. So I put that address in here, HTTPS, the IP address, and then port 8889. And now the first thing it tells me is this is not a real HTTPS server with a proper certificate, so I have to override that and say proceed to this unsafe. Every browser will warn you it's a self-signed certificate. Now I need to log in with the account I just created, admin, and that password I typed in. And now I got the Velociraptor GUI. You can see in the background it's putting every post and GET request going on, but we don't really need to see that. We can now control it from here. So this is glorious Velociraptor. I'll make the font bigger. You can inspect the state of your server, and it will show you how much CPU and memory it's utilizing, and it'll show you how many clients are connected, and you have no clients connected right now, so you can't really get much of anything done in this state. So we need to add a Windows client. So to add a Windows client, I'm going to open another SSH session to my machine. That one is running Velociraptor, and I want to leave it run. But I'm going to SSH in, and I'm going to need that IP address, 172.16.53. Okay, so it's SSH Debian at 172.16.123.38.53. Okay, Debian. Okay, now I have another terminal going into my Velociraptor server, and now I can edit the configuration file, because I don't want my Windows machine that connects to have to override some kind of security warning. I think that's what this is about. So I say go down here below the nonce line and add another line here which warns it that I'm using self-signed SSL. There. I think I'll put it in spaces just to make it pretty, and save that. All right, and now I can make the Windows client installer. So there's just a few commands to do it. You go into your Velociraptor directory, and here's the command. I run the same Velociraptor executable using the same configuration file, and I create a client configuration, config client. So that creates this client config.yaml. Now I need the Windows version of the software, which I just download from GitHub. This is the 64-bit Windows software. And now I'm going to combine the client configuration that has my IP address in it, of my command and control server, into that with the Velociraptor command to build it, which is this one. This is going to repack, taking this Windows executable and combining it with this configuration file to make a thing called repackaged velociraptor.exe, Windows software that will act like a remote control agent that I can install on the Windows machine that will phone home to my Linux server. In the latest version, the client will not connect to the host if the entry is not added to the client config. Or will not connect if it isn't right. Well, okay. Anyway, I did add it. Yeah, good. I'm glad you people are reading up on it. I don't really know exactly what that SSL option does. So anyway, now I need to move that software to the client. And the way I did it here was by using SSH server, which is already running on this thing here. I guess I'll do these steps anyway because I thought I had to do them before. I update this thing. And by the way, since this is getting to be an old version of Debian, you have to say yes a bunch of times to update something about the config files or signatures or something. And then I said, wait, I already did that. All right. I wanted to install OpenSSH server. It's in my instructions, although I thought it was already included. Yeah, it's already there. Good. So now we're going to connect the Windows client to our server. And in order to get the software to the Windows client, since I actually have local virtual machines, I could right-click copy in the graphical Debian desktop and copy it over to the Windows server, but I wrote instructions that work even in cloud machines because I've been teaching this in public and private cloud training sessions. And if you're in the cloud, then you wouldn't have an easy time copying machines with the GUI. So it's better to use a network copy. And that's what we're going to do here. On this Windows machine, we're going to put on WinSCP. So I open a web browser, and I haven't even installed anything on here. So the only web browser is Internet Explorer or Edge, perhaps. Apparently this is actually Internet Explorer. Anyway, I don't care. Any browser should do. Except it isn't letting me copy and paste. It's ignoring me. Yes, because it's Microsoft, it's going to irritate me asking stupid questions instead of listening to me. Okay. There we are. Now hopefully it will actually go there instead of asking more stupid questions. Okay, there we are. WinSCP. Download now. Hopefully it is downloading. Do I actually get a download information somewhere? Maybe it won't let me download things in Internet Explorer? Is there like a downloads window somewhere? I never use Internet Explorer, in case you can't tell, and I'm not much inclined to use it more after this. Downloads, and there are no downloads. Right, well, okay. I'm going to do what I always do and get Firefox. I can't stand Microsoft products. I can't make them do anything. That's the only purpose of Internet Explorer on Earth, is to get Firefox and then never open it again. Anyway, all right. Let's see if this download works. Oh, good. That download works. Fine. Good. And if some of you people may actually be able to download something in Internet Explorer, but apparently I can't. Microsoft always makes everything impossible, and I have no patience for it. So, all right. If it was a server, I would understand why they block downloads in Internet Explorer, but I found probably they're blocking everything because I have IE and they want me to have Edge or something. But anyway, whatever stupid thing they're doing, I don't care. I just want Firefox. Then I can get some work done. Yes. Aha. This is looking like some kind of progress is happening. All right. There. Now I have Firefox. Now perhaps I can download the SCP thing I wanted to download. All right. Download now. Yeah, that was the idea. And when I click download now, does anything happen? Maybe oh, okay. It was me. It wasn't them. There's another stupid button I have to hit. Okay, fair enough. It wasn't Microsoft. It was user error. Anyway, now I have somehow managed to download a file, making that a whole lot harder than it needed to be. Now I can install this thing. All right. So I'm abusing Microsoft unjustly. It's not their fault that I couldn't find the download link. Okay, I've completed the thing. Let's close all these browsers. And I think it's going to automatically launch. It's automatically launched. Okay, now we can log in to the Linux server, which is, oh, great. So it's SFTP is right. I just need that number, 172.16.123.53. And then it's Debian and Debian. But I got to spell it better than that. Yikes, I spelled it wrong. Yes, but then you're going to complain about the password. I know you're going to complain about the password. Access denied. Okay, now I get to put in the password again. All right. There we are. Now I'm in. Now I can go to Velociraptor, and one of these things is the Windows software. There it is. So I can download that into, say, my Documents folder. And there we go. I've got the software. That's all I needed. Okay. So now that I've got the Velociraptor client software, all I have to do is run it in an elevated command prompt. CMD. And I do need to put a parameter here. So run as administrator. Yes. And, oh, there's probably some way to get to the right folder more easily, but I didn't bother. I'll do it the hard way. Font. Bigger. Bigger, bigger. There. So now I go to that folder, which is users, IE user documents. All right. And there's the thing I want to run. So I run that thing, and it's service install. Okay, it's done. And now I should be able to see it in the Velociraptor GUI. So here, this thing doesn't yet show the client, but if I click Show All, it also doesn't show the client. So that's not good. All right. All right. Wait. Now this went up to 1, didn't it? No, it's still at 0. Okay, looks like something is wrong. All right. Oh, error, unable to load. Okay, neat. So I fouled it up. Oh, I see I fouled it up. I got the wrong file. Ah, no, this makes sense. I got the wrong file. I needed the one that said like repackaged. I downloaded the wrong file from the server. Okay. That's fixable. Let's go to WinSCP again. I needed to do this a little more carefully. It was this number, 172.16.123.53, and Debian, and login. And I needed to go into Velociraptor. The one I needed was this one, repackaged. I downloaded the wrong file. That'll do it. That's why it said it couldn't find any configuration file. Now if I do a directory, this is the one I want. Repackaged, service install. All right. And now I don't get an error. And now I see a bunch of action happening in the Velociraptor command line. This looks much better. So now if I show all, there it is. I now have a client. My life is complete. Okay. So now your Velociraptor server has a Windows client, and if you click its client ID, it tells me here it's Windows 10. And now I can do stuff on that server. Like I can, for example, go to the virtual file system, and I can see like the NTFS file system on there. So I click NTFS, and then I refresh, and you see it's doing stuff. It's syncing 6,000 files, 12,000 files. Okay. I think I chose a kind of big job for it. 29,000 files. Shows verbose messages. Yeah. The latest version didn't collect automatically required you. Yeah. Anyway, I'm in. It's syncing stuff. And if I get tired of waiting, I'll just do something else. 50,000. How many files can there be on a Windows box? 59,000. Apparently quite a few. All right, how about file? Nope, looks like it's not even going to reply. Okay, I'm stuck waiting for this. You can hit the stop button. Is that a stop button? Oh, neat. Thank you. Good. Let's try the registry. That's not so big. I should really only see the root of it. Nope, it's doing all the files. This is new. It used to just do the top level. Maybe I'm hitting the wrong. Recursively download. Yeah, I tried to click the other thing, which I thought would just load the top level. All right, let's see. Which one was the recursive one? This one's the recursive one, and I clicked the other one. The first one is just the top level. Well, that's what I clicked. Apparently, the first one now does everything. Or maybe I clicked the wrong one. All right. Oh, there. So this is the one that is not recursive. So that's the. So I should have only loaded like 6 things. If I do HKey classes root, there's nothing. If I click this button, it should load only the contents of HKey classes root. But instead, it's doing thousands of files every time. Oh, this one here. Is this the one I should be hitting? Oh, that might be it. Why, thank you. I should probably read my own instructions. So if I do this one, uh-oh. Now I seem to have frozen it. How about home? Nope, nothing works at all. So what's happening here? I seem to have, can I refresh the browser? Okay. TLS handshake error, TLS unknown certificate. Perhaps I have crashed it. Looks like perhaps I've crashed it. I'm just going to hit Control-C and relaunch this thing. All right, and see if that gets me back on the road. Now can I refresh this page? Let's get rid of all this junk. I wonder if perhaps I filled up all the storage on my Debian machine downloading all that garbage. Nope, here we are, it's moving. Good. Now show all. Client. Okay, let me try it again. I never used the VFS after this anyway. So if I go to the file, is this the one that just loads the top one? Yeah, I think these R's are both recursive or something. So I should have just hit the first one, probably. Let's see. Anyway, I never used this thing anyway. I just used it for the this project. Hopefully you can get some flags to work. But the fun part is to really collect artifacts. And let me just do one of them. Let's get netstat. Because this stuff here is always kind of flaky and irritates me. The fun part is show all, go to your client, and go to collected. And now you get these things you can use, which are pretty awesome. You add one, and now, for example, if you want network statistics, you can just type netstat, and it will run netstat on the server and let you see the network connections. So you click it to highlight this, and this tells you information about it. You can adjust parameters here, and for this one, there are no parameters. And then you can launch it. And now it's running. When you click this row, you can look at the log, and it will show you how long it's taking. It's done after 1/4 of a second. And you go to results, and here's the results, the network status of that machine. So this is what I've been talking about in this course all the way through. Live response, 54 rows. You can do a reasonable question here, and everything you might need is in this list. Like you can find the automatically running software with auto runs. You can run all kinds of good stuff. You can grep the file system for files in the name or the contents. You can get the prefetch folder. We talked about that in the lecture. You can get the prefetch folder. You can get shell bags. So you can do all sorts of stuff. This is the thing we're going to spend most of the rest of the course using, is this tool to analyze malware infections on Windows machines remotely. So this is great fun, and I highly encourage you to get this stuff installed and going. And like I say, this is where we're going to spend all our time, in this artifact list, not in that virtual file system thing that is really slow and buggy. And there doesn't seem to be a submission form for IR371. All right, I'll look into that. Thank you. All right, so I think I'll stop the recording. That's enough demos for today.